Africa, the mother of humanity. In context. Location Africa before 6 to 7 MYA. Sahelanthropus chadensis, the first known hominin, emerges in Africa. At about the same time, Ardipithecus ramidus appears, an early hominin created by fossil evidence from Ethiopia in the 90s. And then 3 years later, Bakeley found in Kenya suggests Homo erectus first used fire, possibly by chance. After that, in 1921, the Broken Hill skull from Zambia, later identified as Homo Heidelbergensis, is the first major hominin found in Africa. From 29 to 35, fossils from Mount Carmel, Israel, are later identified as Homo sapiens, dated to 80 to 120,000 years ago. In 2018, a Homo sapiens skull from Greece is dated to more than 210,000 years ago, making it the oldest found inside Africa. In 1987, a groundbreaking study supported British naturalist Charles Darwin's 1871 theory that all humans, Homo sapiens, originated in Africa. American geneticists Rebecca Cannon and Mark Stoneking and New England biochemist Alan Wilson compared mitochondrial DNA, the unique genetic code passed on from female to female, as different populations around the world. They discovered an unbroken line that led to one female living in Africa around 200,000 years ago. She was named a mitochondrial Eve, a term that is often misunderstood. Rather than being the first of a species, she was the most recent maternal ancestor common to all living humans. Africa is the oldest and richest source of fossils of homini. Hominin, the tribe which includes modern humans and their ancestors, who began to diverge from other apes from some 7 million years ago. More than 20 hominid species emerged, overlapping at different periods before Homo sapiens arrived around 300,000 years ago. Among the first, from around 4 million years ago, were ape-like Australopithecines, while the earliest known of the Homo genus was Homo habilis, who lived around 2.4 to 1.5 million years ago. The first species with physical proportions was ours was Homo erectus, upright man, who emerged about 2 million years ago and survived to around 100,000 years ago in Asia. Our immediate ancestor, Homo heidelbergensis, lived from 700 to 300,000 years ago and was a skillful hunter adept at using fire. Advances in human culture. Early hominins developed skills to aid survival. Stone tools found near Lake Turkana in Kenya, dated to 3.3 million years ago, were probably created by Kenyanthropus platyops. By 2.4 million years ago, Homo habilis used such tools to make marrow and meat from carcasses, while Homo heidelbergensis sharpened stones to points and attached them to wooden shafts and create spears. The evolution of the Homo sapiens around from 300,000 years ago from the African populations of Homo heidelbergensis is associated with increasing evidence of complex behaviors, such as the use of natural pigments dated to this time at the Twin Rivers Cave in Zambia. Early humans crafted stones in the hard axes, enabling them to cut meat, work skins, and carve wood. Fire gave them light, warmth, and a means to cook food. As their giant chains, so did their teeth and appearance, and their brain size and abilities steadily increased. Carved bone harpoon heads from the Democratic Republic of the Congo may be 90,000 years old. Bone tools, an ochre pressing workshop, and perhaps the earliest drawing, dated to around 70,000 years ago, were all found at the Blombos Cave in South Africa. Engraved ostrich eggshells, used as water containers from Diep Kloof rock shelter in South Africa date to 60,000 years ago. The earliest known mines in the mountain of Eswatini, formerly Swaziland, were dug out 43,200 years ago by local people who crushed a rag hematite to use as a dye. Homo sapiens fossils. In 2005, two partial skulls which Kenyan anthropologist Richard Leakey had discovered near the Omo River in Ethiopia in 1967 were dated to 195,000 years ago. The earliest evidence of Homo sapiens whom scientists believed had evolved in East Africa around 200,000 years ago. However, in 2017, fossils from Jebel Irhoud, Morocco, that included a skull face and jaw bones were firmly identified as Homo sapiens and dated to 315,000 years ago. Scientists now propose that Homo sapiens evolved not in one area but throughout the continent. As French paleoanthropologist Jean-Jacques declared, the Garden of Eden in Africa is probably Africa, and it's a big-ass garden, and it's a big, big garden. Evolutionary Theory before Darwin. Centuries before Charles Darwin published On the Origin of Species in 1859, The Descent of Man in 1871, a medieval black writer hinted at an early theory of evolution by natural selection. Although he wrote in Arabic and was based in Baghdad, Iraq, Abu Uthman al-Jahis was of East African descent and thought to have been the grandson of an enslaved Bantu speakers. Words include Kitab al-Hayawan, Book of Animals, much of which repeats folklore, but one passage is key. Al-Jahis explains how all creatures engage in a struggle to exist, feed, breed, and avoid being eaten, and develop new traits to ensure survival. They pass on these characteristics to their offspring, transforming a species over time. Although Al-Jahis did not formulate his ideas into a theory, they were highly advanced for his time. Whether or not Darwin knew this book, it was a significant contribution to early evolutionary thought.